Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Ahoy, mateys! Welcome back to Full Stream Ahead. I'm the captain now because ship happened. Full Stream Ahead has gone under a little bit of a revamp. This is a solo show for the time being. There may or may not be some guest co-hosts along the way, and you can expect this podcast to drop once a month unless y'all demand more, or well, Phil demands more. I won't be breaking down a singular show. Instead, I'll be telling you what I watched the past month on the various streaming services and point out the highlights of the month. If I'm feeling generous, I might also give you some shows to be on the lookout for the coming month. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so January 2024 was a pretty dang good month for almost all the streaming services. I'm going to start with Netflix. I did a John Wick binge at the beginning of the year. So I watched 1 through 3 back to back to back over on Netflix on New Year's Day after the Rose Bowl, because what's better than watching Alabama get defeated by University of Michigan? Topping it off with 5 hours and 52 minutes of nonstop Keanu Reeves. That's what. I also almost reignited my elementary special interest by watching the Alexander the Great documentary on Netflix. They put that out toward the end of January. But it was so, I don't know, cursory and basic. I honestly barely mustered the energy to finish it. It was super dry and uninteresting. Super unfortunate. But if you are not a history buff, your mileage may vary and you might actually like it. You know, no shame in liking basic stuff. What else did I watch? I indulged my inner anime nerd and watched The 7 Deadly Sins, 4 Nights of the Apocalypse Part 1. And I just have to remind you guys, remember friends, subs, not dubs. Subs, not dubs. And I just found those action scenes to be superb. Like, just so crisp, so kinetic. I really enjoyed it. So, like, shout out to them. To know me is to know that I have a soft spot or wet spot. Let's not get pedantic, okay? For Sofia Vergara. So, you know, I had to watch Griselda. I am actually so super fascinated by the real life Griselda. And as wild as Netflix could have gotten, they didn't get anywhere close to as crazy as the real story is. So I found that like really super interesting what they chose to embellish and be over the top with and what they kind of left out. But like the costuming was top notch. The cinematography was amazing. Just absolutely mwah, chef's kiss. For reference, it's very much a show you probably can and should watch with the sound off and captions on. Wink, wink. I tortured myself a little bit because I am a certified anti-Swiftie. So I had to watch Cats from 2019 to revel in this one catastrophic mistake she made. Get it? Catastrophic? Cats. Yeah. Okay, moving on. If you have a chance, watch this after eating an edible. Thank me later. It's the only way to watch it, honestly. Honestly, it's the only way to watch the actual musical on Broadway, or so I've been told. Let's see. I also dove back into the waters of reality TV after probably a decade of not watching it. I'm trying to give it a chance. I was not going to give it a chance because like the one time that I was going to watch reality TV show, this commercial for this thing called MILF Manor turned me into a certified conservative pro clutching granny. And I couldn't give it a try. But Netflix has a reality TV show, game show kind of thing going on. It's kind of like reminiscent of Brother. It's called The Trust, a Game of Greed. I'm only like 3 episodes in. I'm going to wait for the rest of them to come out. But I love the conceit of it. It's like everybody can split the money and nobody has to be voted out. But there's like all these secrets that you can find out about people. And if one person votes a person out, that person has to go. So it's not even like a unanimous decision. So it's like, I just really love the conceit of it. Plus, you know, it's always awesome in a sad for humanity kind of way to kind of watch the depths of depravity people will go through in the throes of late stage capitalism. Yeah, that's it. That's all. It's just pure voyeurism on my end. So I'm going to wait for the rest of the episodes to drop to finish the show. And I may or may not remember to update y'all. This is seasons 1 through 6 also dropped, so I can finally finish that show. I think I had left off in like halfway through season 3. I don't know. It got weird and I got to be too much and I just forgot about the show, quite honestly. So I'm going to start from the beginning because I think from the first 3.5 seasons that I saw, I think 1 and 2 are absolutely the best. I will not be taking any questions about that. Either you agree or you're wrong. It's fine. I'm currently raising children that are not my own at the moment. So I made them grateful to be Gen Alpha by making them watch Beethoven. And it kind of sparked an interesting conversation. And they kind of rightly assumed this is why I have so many rescue dogs. The beginning scene where nobody wants him and he's getting bigger and bigger and unsellable. It gets to me, and it even got to me as a child. And I, even at a young age, I've always been wanting to abolish pet stores and puppy bills. But I also have an affinity for Lady and the Tramp, so that might also have something to do with it as well. But the kids found it pretty heartwarming because they cracked a smile and they went, aw. So, I mean, I guess it still holds up. Beethoven does what it needs to do. Truly a really good family movie. I'm not going to push the kids over the edge, though, and make them watch Air Bud because Air Bud is just truly corny and crazy. And the fact that Air Bud has so many spin-offs and sequels is wild. But also, I think they made 6 Beethovens. I only knew about 3. They were making Beethovens up until 2014, which is wild for me to realize. And eventually one day I am going to do the full Beethoven binge, and it's going to be epic. And I will keep you up to date on that. Let's see. Let's move over to Hulu. And I have to say, for the longest time, I just never really found Hulu worth having, but I have it as a package bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, which I use ESPN Plus the most out of all 3, surprisingly. But I just kind of really got into Hulu. They have a really big selection of things, but the most I used to use them for was American Dad, Family Guy, and The Simpsons for big long binge sessions. But the more that basic cable becomes annoying, the more that streaming is a necessity to kind of avoid the ads. So since I paid for it, I decided I was going to use it. And this month I found a ton of stuff. Most of it wasn't good. Just going to be real with you. But here's what I watched. I watched The Good Mother, Deliver Us, and The Imitation Game. The reason why I chose The Mother was I saw that Hilary Swank was in it. And it's kind of this weird, hilarious setup, right? And I just feel Hilary Swank as a mother, I guess they can get Jennifer Garner or whatever. I just feel this movie was not written for Hilary Swank specifically. It definitely feels like one of those Jennifer Garner movies. And if it wasn't for the action in this movie, it would pretty much be a glorified Lifetime movie. And I actually didn't check, so it actually might be a Lifetime movie, to be honest. But it was something to pass the time while I ate dinner and prepared my taxes. The Good Mother is about the murder of Hilary Swank's character's estranged son. She then goes on to form an alliance with that estranged son's girlfriend. And they kind of go on this vendetta and track down everybody that's responsible for his death. Okay. A solid D as in dog minus. Do not recommend. You can skip it for sure. The next one, Deliver Us, is a horror movie. It probably is my favorite out of the 3 that I'm going to talk about right now. It's about a Russian nun who claims to have immaculately conceived twins. And that fits an ancient prophecy about somebody who will immaculately conceive twins. One will, of course, be the Messiah, and the other will be the Antichrist. Like all real twins. If you like The Pope's Exorcist, then you might actually like this one. It kind of turns into this weird conspiracy thing, and it's all downhill from there, but it's kind of a campy romp, unintentionally camp, so I don't know that, if it's unintentional, then I don't think it actually can be camp, but I don't know, it's solid. It's a solid C-, C for cat, C for conceive. Moving over to that other movie. Yeah, The Imitation Game. It would have been so amazing if it wasn't for Benjamin Coatpatch or whatever his name is being in it. It literally had the top tier British actors in it. It had Charles Dance, it had Mark Strong, it had Keira Knightley, and Matthew Good in it. Plus, it's about the beginning days of MI6 and how they recruited Alan Turing. Yeah, that Alan Turing. And I thought we all agreed that the only actor that can play a notable Cambridge mathematic alumnus was Eddie Redmayne. To be fair, I think he might have actually been busy making Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them at the time. I think the timing lines up on that, so I might just be right about that. But yeah, everything is good except for Benjamin Cumberbatch. Just top tier. Really good movie. I like it. Let's see. I also binged this little show on Hulu called History's Greatest Heists with Pierce Brosnan. So good to see my favorite James Bond still getting work. Would it be better if it was a Dr. Fate TV show? Yes, of course. But the show is charming and engaging. So, if you love a good caper and a soothing English accent, check it out for sure. I think I may or may not be in another Anglophile phase. Please don't judge me. I found something super interesting. I can't eat spicy food because I have an ulcer. I mean, I do it, but I don't do it to the extremes that these people do it in this docuseries. So if you're into spicy food or just watching odd ducks be odd ducks and engaging in their special interests, I think you should give Super Hot, the spicy world of pepper people, a go. It was just kind of eye-opening about this little niche subculture and what they go through and how we get spicy niche foods in our supermarkets and stuff. They all come from these little growers for the most part. I found the business end of it super fascinating. Maybe not so much the actual people behind it. So yeah, people that eat hot pepper competitions. It's crazy. And they kind of give you the science breakdown and these really cool original CSI reminiscent renditions of what your body goes through, your eyes dilating and your tongue swelling and your digestive system and what happens, right? So I liked it. I found it really cool. Yeah. Also, I hate when this happens to me. Have you ever watched a movie where you don't recognize a single actor and you're like, oh, this must be one of those terrible TV movies? That happened to me very recently. And that movie in question was on Hulu and it was called Hidden Murder Island. It opens up with the classic setup of a woman who has amnesia after surviving a mysterious attack, and down the rabbit hole she goes to find out what happened to her. It's super predictable and it's trite. But if that's your thing, this might be for you. Just, all in all, it wasn't that bad. It just has that TV movie genre quality to it is all. For all I know, it could have been just the female version of The Most Dangerous Game. Like I said, it's just super, super, super trope filled and kind of hacky. But sometimes you just want to have a little fun. And, sometimes movies are so bad that they turn out to be good. So if you're into stuff like that, then that might be for you. I also watched a really cool documentary called Invisible Beauty. It's about one of my favorite people, Beth Ann Hardison, aka Dwayne Wayne's real life mom, who was this fashion model and modeling agent that went on to become an activist. She's a super fascinating person, and I thoroughly enjoyed the documentary. But I will say, if you're not into fashion or supermodel history fluff, this might not be for you. But for me, it was solid from start to finish. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it if you kind of are into fashion or supermodel stuff from the 80s and 70s and 80s and 90s. Super interesting time for fashion and upward mobility of women through beauty and stuff like that. Pretty cool lens to look at it through. Just also because I'm raising Gen Alpha kids that are not my own at the moment, I got talked into watching this show called A Shop for Killers. Warning, it is in Korean because it is a Korean show. So if you don't speak Korean and or hate subtitles / captions, this might not be for you, but I thought that the show was super good. It's about this guy who was raised by his uncle who has a shop in a mall, and after his uncle's sudden death, he realizes what his uncle's business was really about. But to be fair, the title kind of gives it away, so yeah. But I just shout out to the kids. Sometimes they really do be onto something. But please, do not tell them I said that. Let's see. That brings me to my favorite thing that I found on Hulu in January. It has to be Last Circus. The only way I can sum it up is that it's a twisted, carny love triangle. No. It's a twisted, carny clown love triangle. So this girl is in a triangle with a sad clown and a happy clown, but they're both demented as hell. And I just couldn't stop cackling. Now, it's probably not the directorial intent, but it is so bad that it's good. You know, it's one of those movies. So yeah, I think it's total camp. I do. It's from 2020. It's like from 2010. So, you know, make of that what you will if you know anything about the movies that were pumped out during this era. The actually super good show that was on Hulu this year. Oh, well, this year so far in January was Reliance. The trailer actually kind of makes the movie seem way different than what it is. So it's about this man that receives an invitation to win $1 million by playing a game where he must outwit hunters attempting to kill him. Now the catch is he realizes that the hunters can only attack him when he's alone, but none of his friends and family believe that the game is real. And so you wouldn't think that this turns into like a real good pick-me-up rom-com, but it does. Why? Because it stars Jake Johnson from New Girl and Anna Kendrick from Pitch Perfect. Two total cuties and longtime friends having an absolute blast on screen. Highly, highly recommend. So like if you want like an actual good movie to watch, Reliance. If you want crap to watch, Last Circus. So yeah, let's get over to Prime Video. But Prime Video does require a prerequisite rant first. First of all, I can't believe they upped the price by $2.99 to create an ad-free tier. Honestly, the only reason why I even have Prime Video is because, well, Prime shipping. Like, I don't need anything else from Amazon. I don't care about the music app. I don't care about Twitch. I don't care about anything. I'd rather they just... Actually, I take that back. I'd actually rather they invest that money into Twitch. Or preferably a new Comixology solo app. And then also to note, why is there also an MGM Plus streaming service when Amazon bought the entire catalog? I was expecting those sweet classics to come to Prime Video to actually make the catalog more competitive. Because honestly, if The Boys Are Invincible isn't airing a new season, I literally forget this streaming service exists. Like, please, just reboot the James Bond and Stargate franchise already. Hell, combine them like they wanted to do Fast and the Furious and freaking Jurassic Park. I don't care. Do something with those damn properties. For Pete's sake and my own. Just sitting on gold mines for no good reason. Honestly, Jeff Bezos, you really should return my emails. I have a plan. I have a vision. Okay? End of rant. So let's talk about what I found on Amazon Prime this month. Nothing new and nothing exciting. That's for damn sure. That's basically how you can sum up Prime Video. They really don't have a lot of new good things to watch. And the stuff that they do, it's like overly produced, celebrity, executive produced drivel. Honestly, shout out to expats. No tea, no shade to Kaylee Coco. I actually probably will get around to watching that because I like almost anything that she's in. So I will give you an update. So I basically relived my elementary and middle school nights and watched all the hits that I used to watch back then. This is going to be like, age me so bad. Along Came a Spider, Bad Boys, Cruel Intentions, Forrest Gump, Finding Forrester, Good Will Hunting, Conan the Barbarian, Major Payne, Money Train, Pulp Fiction, The Cable Guy, and Saving Ryan. Like, I know that is a super crazy dichotomous mix of movies, but that is just a glimpse into my beautiful scrambled brain. These are the movies that made me. I will also tell you, I did a full Superman binge, including Superman Returns. And yes, in case you don't know, Superman 4 is my favorite Superman movie. What about it? Also, Snyder Bros. Don't at me. Henry Cavill is not my Superman. Also, don't be surprised if you see this binge listed again later in the year. I'm actually working on a Superman-related project with a friend. And that, well, will be revisited quite a few times before the year is over, I am sure. So, it is my goal now that I'm paying an additional fee for Prime Video to keep it as an ad-free tier. I feel like this has caused a Streisand effect because I was perfectly willing not to engage with their streaming service too much. And, you know, it costs money to run a streaming service and host it and stream it and stuff. But now I'm going to be a power user. So suck it, Bezos. I'm about to be a problem for you. Even if I'm not watching, I'm just going to have it on in the background. Like, I'm about to be petty and salty as hell. Okay, let's talk about Peacock. And honestly, if Universal Comcast doesn't sponsor this podcast after the glazing I'm about to give Peacock, I'm going to be so freaking mad. Get ready for this plot twist. Peacock is actually currently my most used streaming service. Totally shocked me when I realized that. I used to only really use it. Okay, so I use it to watch my favorite 2 shows that premiered in 2023. The Irrational, starring Jesse Martin of The Flash and Law and Order fame, as well as Found, starring Shanola Hampton from Shameless, and MPG, aka Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell fame. Now, what's wild is that Found, which definitely does not feel like a Berlanti production, is a Berlanti production, but The Irrational, starring Jesse Martin, is not, which totally feels like actual Berlanti setup. But Berlanti is like the king of procedural, and Irrational is very much that 2010... That 2000s through like late 2010s trope of like a detective with a special like power who like consults for the police. Yeah, aka pseudo Sherlock. That vein. So like that was kind of like his thing. And so Irrationals kind of falls into that category too. So that's what kind of surprises me. But like NBC is like literally their bread and butter are procedurals and propaganda. So it is what it is, but there's still 2 really good shows. And that's what I like. I was just kind of like clicking around one day and I just kind of discovered those 2 shows on Peacock because I'm trying to get my subscription money's worth. And I actually ended up falling in love with it. And it's actually on my DVR now. I try to watch them live, but in case I forget, I do have it set on my DVR. So kind of don't need it for that anymore. But I also did binge all 7 episodes of Ted in one sitting. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge American Dad and Family Guy super fan. Just a big fan of adult animation in general. I also love King of the Hill, as well. I used to love The Simpsons, Bob's Burger, all those things. Adult animation. F is for family. That thing. So, and I also really, really love the first Ted movie. And I quote it with my best friend, a lot. The second movie can kiss my whole ass though. It was awful. But the TV show, even my friends who hate Family Guy actually really like the Ted TV show. And it's got all this critics shook. They are shocked by how good it is. And I feel like you will like it yourself as well. So I'm going to definitely highly recommend this show. Let me know what you think if you do watch it. If you have watched it or you do watch it because of my recommendation, please definitely, I want to hear your opinion. So please write in or leave a voicemail. That information will be at the end of the podcast and it's also in the show notes. I was a late adopter to Peacock because I didn't think I would find anything like I liked. I mean, like if I wanted an SVU marathon, I'll just turn on USA, right? And I really don't care for The Office and I don't need to watch Parks and Recs every 1 to 3 business hours, but I do. I really do. I love that show. So underrated. Better than The Office, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Calm down, Office heads. But along came a show called Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne. That was foregoing the binge format, and it decided to drop an episode once a week. So I was just kind of stuck with the subscription. So I decided to look around, and I found a plethora of shows and movies. Mostly the Fast and Furious movies. Most of them, like, I still can't figure out why the hell you can't stream Fast 5 or Fast 6 on any streaming service. Wild to me. It's not like I don't have all the DVDs, but sometimes you're too lazy to break out the physical Blu-rays. So yeah, I want to head over to old Peacock for my dose of Chronos and Cars and Broads. I also use Peacock to catch up on the Night Court reboot when I remember that show exists. Some good, interesting movies that I watched on Peacock this month, in the month of January of 2024, I watched Silent Twins, which was based on a true story about twins who like isolated themselves and retreated into their own world and kind of created their own language. And they kind of started getting rambunctious and got into some trouble that landed them in this like psychiatric hospital that was determined to like separate them. Super interesting, super fascinating, based on a true story. It is British because the 2 twins that they were based on were like from Wales. So I also watched another movie that was based on true events. It's called 13 Assassins. I watched the pilot of La Brea, but somebody told me it was in its last season this season. So I'm going to binge it all together once this series finale airs. They also dropped the entire series of Adventures of Puss in Boots. Listen, I'm a 90s kid. Shrek was life and low-key still kind of is. So yeah, I think it was like seasons 1 through 3. So that's the entire series. Puss in Boots like kind of grew on me, but like Puss in Boots Last Wish was like the best movie the year that came out. So like if you don't know, you need to get to know. That's all I'm saying. Also, if you have kids, they probably will like it. I gave this show called Mismatch a chance, but to quote Ariana Grande, it wasn't a match. So thank you next. Toward the end of the month, Train to Busan arrived. I think it was also on Netflix a month before, or it went to Netflix for February or something like that. But I'm always going to recommend Train to Busan. It is one of my favorite zombie movies, and I just kind of love watching genre movies from a different cultural perspective. Like, don't get me wrong, J-horror reigns supreme, with K-horror being more akin to that elevated horror of like A24 style of storytelling, if you get what I'm saying. Speaking of quote-unquote elevated horror, I finally watched Nope, and it was a nope for me. I'm just going to be real with you. I think that Jordan Peele is overrated and a tryhard. He is essentially the Tyler Perry of horror. There, I said it because it needed to be said. It is what it is. It's a shame, because I love Keke Palmer, but sometimes even she can't save something for me. I was going to watch the movie Syrup, but then I remembered it had Amber Heard, and I refrained. I watched Europa Report, and like I've always been meaning to watch this movie, and then like I always start the movie and I'm just like, oh, it's this movie. And so it's like I instantly remember the travesty. like no. That was like, okay, so like honestly this movie kind of came out in a time frame which was like 2012 to 2014 movie selection. It was woof. It was so bad. But honestly, it wasn't as bad as I remember. But I really feel like it's not as bad as I remember because I had real bad insomnia for most of the 2010s, which means it's all pretty much pretty blurry for the most part, the fine details. So at least there's that. I watched Arranged Love because why the heck not? It's about this woman who leaves India to avoid an arranged marriage, moves to America to become a tech guru. But because most tech startups are grifts and need heavy capital, she decides to pretend to be married to a guy she just met to secure her inheritance from her family in India. Honestly, classic Harlequin romance novel setup. It was cute and it was fun, but it was definitely a chick flick. Also, I'm not Indian, so I don't know how grossly offensive it is, but I do believe that an Indian person wrote it and directed it, so I'm not going to question it too much. I liked it. I thought it was cute. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me know. What else? I also found out that like Donald Faison of all people has a new show called Extended Family. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm honestly just watching it to see if Zach Braff shows up for a Scrubs bromance reunion. It's a sitcom made in the 2020s, so it's not going to be anything groundbreaking, but it gives the New Adventures of Old Christine vibes, and that is literally one of my favorite sitcoms of all time ever. But I'm going to tell you something. Extended Family, that opening theme song, pretty catchy. Another plot twist for people who don't know me. Turns out that Paramount Plus was my second most used streaming service in January of 2024. Now, this is namely because I am a certified Star Trek nerd. I decided that I have to force myself to finally finish a full, no episode skipped binge of Enterprise. I'll be real with you, I can only muster 2 episodes every other day, so I'm going to be at it for quite a while. I am not even all the way through season 1 at this point, and I'm regretting my decision, but I'm going to do it. This is the year that it just needs to happen. I also decided to give Discovery another chance and do the full binge, so pray for my sanity, y'all. Please. Also, the kids that aren't mine wanted to watch Lower Decks, so I'm like, cool, whatever, anything to get the kids into Trek, am I right? And then that led to like a full Prodigy binge as well. They agreed to start Star Trek the Animated Series in February, and I already know their commentary on their show is going to be absolutely unhinged because even when I was watching it, yeah, questionable content. Also, I remember that Star Trek short treks are a thing that are pretty cool and exist, and I think are worth checking out if you haven't seen them. They're basically like these standalone stories exploring key characters and themes that fit into Star Trek. Like, I think they started off for Discovery, but then it really just became about expanding the Star Trek universe. So if you haven't seen the Star Trek short treks, there's like 5 or 6 of them and they're not very long. I say kind of just check them out. I thought that they were very cool. The CGI is the CGI animation is a little uncanny valley, but after a couple minutes, you just kind of get used to it. So yeah. So non-Star Trek related things, I gave that Halo show another chance and it disappointed me again. So it is considered written off forever until I forget how terrible it is and click on it again. It's bound to happen because Paramount actually really ain't got that much new stuff, quiet as it's kept. But they got a deep back catalog that makes it totally worth it, to be perfectly honest. I have been in love with Luke Cage himself, Mike Coulter's show Evil from day one, but like I kind of fell off watching it because they were playing games with the viewers. Like they took way too long to come back for seasons 2 and 3, and they're always playing games because originally on CBS Access it was like one of the main like shows that people would subscribe to the service for. It was like that and The Good Wife and The Good Fight. It was like Evil, The Good Wife, and The Good Fight. That's what you had CBS All Access for. And then when it rolled into Paramount Plus, they kind of put it on the back burner, thinking that the fans wasn't going to throw a fit. So it's like a whole thing. So like now I can finally get caught up and I'm catching up on season 3. And I just have to say so far, every season has gotten better. This show, like, if you don't know, it's kind of like X-Files, but make it set in the Catholic Church. There's this, like, skeptical psychologist, Kristen, who joins David Acosta, who is Mike Coulter's character, who is training to be, like, a Catholic priest. Like you'll hear occasionally, oh, they're grooming him to be the first black pope and things like that. And then there's this blue-collar contractor that helps them investigate. He's, like, the tech guy, the guy in the chair, and it's played by Asif Mandeep from, like, that Asif Mandeep from The Daily Show. Which, like, he gets to be, like, the comic relief, but he also gets to show, like, a lot of emotional range that no one knew he had. So it's, like, super cool. I really enjoy it. So, you know, they investigate, like, the church's backlog of, like, unexplained mysteries and supposed miracles and, like, demonic possessions and other extraordinary occurrences. And their job is to accept if there's a logical explanation or if it's something truly supernatural at work. And, you know, like, the premise is examining the origins of evil. That's why the title of the show is Evil. And, you know, they're like dividing that line between science and religion. So, yeah, I will say there is like a scene near the end of season 1 that might make or break you wanting to watch the show. But if you can get past it, and like, listen, when this scene happens, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you can get past it, the show goes bananas and it is a thrill ride from then on. So, if you've seen Evil and you know what I'm talking about, please write the comment and tell me what scene you think I'm talking about, and I will let you know if you are wrong or right. I have to admit, I am a Sly Stone fan, even though he's a thief. Shh, don't tell him I said that, but we all know he stole Rocky and didn't give that man nothing. But I like Tulsa King. So I feel like Tulsa King is for the people that were raised on the blue skies theory of like USA prestige TV. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. And that is the best way to kind of describe Tulsa King. Honestly, like, it's a corny show with a neat premise that doesn't take itself too seriously. The pilot had a horse get rescued and I was hooked. I found an old TV show. I think I'm pretty sure it's a Paramount Plus original called Strange Angel. It's from like 2018. It follows the story of like an American rocket engineer, Jack Parsons' career, and like his devotion to like this new religion that turns out to be like a sex cult. I'm only on like the 4th episode, but I like it. I mean, they don't really even show much, but like just the premise of it, I really kind of like enjoy. And they've got a lot of really cool actors in it. So I'm just enjoying the ride. And, you know, if I remember, I'll give you guys an update. And if you've already seen the show, let me know if you like it, why or why not. Or like, if you stopped watching, what episode did you stop watching and why? I'm just really curious. Shout out to the Sutherland family. You know, I love them. If you don't, now you do. I think I actually love Kiefer's father, Donald, a little bit more than I love him, but I love him a lot too. I think his career is so fascinating. And I was really like excited to see that he had a new show on Paramount Plus and it was called Rabbit Hole. And I was like, ooh, I hope it's not like 24. Spoilers. It is kind of like 24, but it's not. But like, you know, he's kind of pigeonholed, and I get it, and I get why the show was crafted the way that it was. But like, honestly, I mainly watched it because it had Charles Dance. Like, I think this is probably the second time I've named that man. But like, I like Charles Dance a lot as an actor. One of my favorite British actors for sure. But yeah, he was in it, and he was playing Donald Keith Sutherland's character's dad. And this is like a show about a conspiracy to overthrow the American government and how it would work. And I'm just going to say, it's giving ripped from the headlines. If you know where to look. And so it's just kind of like, I feel like a lot of that went over a lot of people's heads. Like, I don't think people like really understand like how people get turned into like CIA assets and things like that. Like, I just don't think people understand how some things work. And like, oh, I'm not susceptible to that. But you are. America's full of propaganda, right? And so like, Americans specifically have a very hard time telling what propaganda is and what it isn't. And like, our news lies to us, our government lies to us, and they're allowed to do that constitutionally. So yeah, I was just like super fascinated by the show. Yeah. It only has one season, unfortunately, but it's pretty cool. But I will say that the series finale will piss you off. But everything up until that point is totally worth it. I guess I'll mention this one. I am honestly right now struggling to get through School Spirits. It's this teen show that definitely should have been on like the CW or Freeform, but somehow Paramount Plus got a hold of it and butchered it. I started watching it because it's actually based on a book that I read back when it was like a preview copy from like some time ago. And I have to say, from what I remember, the book is definitely better. But at any rate, School Spirits is basically a show about a girl named Maddie who finds herself trapped in like some afterlife limbo at her high school. And she decides to investigate her murder. I mean, classic teen CW show setup. I mean, like, ripped straight out of Riverdale as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, it's okay, but like, it's very slow going. Like, it's a slog at first, but everybody keeps telling me, oh, it gets better with every episode. And the end of season 1 is like really good, is what everybody kept telling me. So I'm just going to try to get through it. And if I remember to update you guys, I will update you. Silly old me, I just discovered that they actually have the original 90210 on freaking Paramount Plus. So when I take my first vacay of the year, I'm gonna binge the hell out of it. I'm hoping to get through like seasons 1 and 2, because like I feel like seasons 3 through 5 are like actually the best of 90210. College years, you know what, their freshman year is a little rough, but high school years were just kind of terrible, honestly. Anyway, yeah, so if you are friends with me on Facebook, it will be very clear when I start this freaking binge, and the posts are going to be hilarious. I also found another old ass show, which was Family Ties. I just got done with the first season, and man, they don't make sitcom theme songs like this no more. Also, definitely don't research where they are now on that cast. It will make you very sad. How do I know? I did it and I was very sad. Apparently, they put like quote unquote season 3 of like 1987's TMNT animated show on there. I would recommend watching that on streaming. I would actually recommend you get the complete DVD or Blu-ray set and call it a day. I just feel like the actual quality of the video will be better for you. And bringing up the rear, of course, Max. Blech. There is nothing on Max, unfortunately. It is such a shame. I did manage to do a Robocop binge, 1 through 3, and then I did the reboot from 2014. It's just kind of what I do sometimes. I just kind of get stuck on a franchise, and I just start binging everything that I can find, and Robocop was there, so it's not like I was going to watch all the Harry Potter movies anymore, so that's how I used to spend my time. Can't do it anymore, unfortunately. But, you know, now that I've watched them, I find it, not that I watched them, but I found it odd that Max has all the Star Trek movies. I mean, all the real Star Trek movies. So, no, not you, J.J. Abrams, Calvin Universe movies. Those barely count in my opinion. It is what it is. Don't at me. But, like, how did Paramount Plus let this happen? I don't even understand what's going on. But they literally had all of them. From Star Trek, the first movies all the way to Nemesis. So I just found that really funny. And I think that did come to HBO Max in January. I don't think it was there in December because I remember watching the movies on Paramount Plus when I was doing a binge earlier in 2023. I also watched the 18 movie. Like, honestly, I thought for sure this would make enough money to get a sequel. Because everything was getting a sequel back then. I like that movie. I don't care what you say. Y'all gonna leave Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper alone about that movie. I'm also working on another project for a friend who is doing an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong retrospective. So I had to struggle through After Earth, unfortunately, to start out the year, trying to find evidence for their thesis statement. Needless to say, I'm definitely asking for more compensation for having to watch this movie. I found an old 90s hood classic, Booty Call. Listen, I can't help myself. That movie is funny. I don't care. It's funny in a 90s way that just never could be and never should be remade. I decided that since old what's-his-face, the former Kang, needed a shekel, so I watched Last Black Man in San Francisco. I'm not going to take it away from him for whatever he may have done after he made this movie. The commentary in this movie is top notch. I always get something different from this movie every time I rewatch it. I watched White House Down on January 6th as a little jokey joke with friends. They were not amused by my choice of movie, but like, whatever. It's funny to me. Let's see. Max also managed to have another decent movie, Snowden. I just feel like ever since their official merger with Discovery, it's just doco series trash that I don't want. And honestly, if they didn't have South Park or Rick and Morty, I would cancel so quick. I did start my Sopranos binge. I am dreading the middle seasons where it got weird. But I am in season 2 right now, and I'm reveling in it. Like, I'm just enjoying the ride. I did want to mention that on the Rome show with Jason Momoa, it's one of those do not watch. Like, I can only suspect this was done as some sort of contractual obligation due to that DCEU fallout and for not getting that third Aquaman movie. And honestly, if we're going to be real, ever since he got his divorce from Lisa Bonet, he has lost something. He is just really super unwatchable. Like, she just gave him an essence, an aura, a je ne sais quoi, if you will, just something that's just gone since he divorced her. Same thing with Lenny Kravitz. I think she just sucks their souls, honestly. She takes their essence, and that's what keeps her young and cool and beautiful. Do you think, girly? Do you think? I ain't even mad. But yeah, so I was just trying to watch it, and it's just like, ugh. Like, just no charisma. Charisma just sucked right out, bro. But I think, in my best opinion, the best thing that is on Max right now is Beat Bobby Flay. I know that's wild to say, but I'm actually I'm low-key into cooking and cooking competitions, and it's honestly one of the best and definitely the most consistent in quality. It's in its 33rd season, and it dropped at the end of January. And I have to say, this is the best season, honestly. And I haven't said that since the 25th season, to be perfectly honest. And then another thing that's really cool. So you would already know this if you are a resident of Flavortown, then I don't even have to tell you to check out Guy's Grocery Games. But if you are out of the loop, this is a game show where Guy Fieri sends 4 talented chefs running through the aisles in a high stakes, get it, high skills grocery store cooking competition. So basically 4 chefs compete in 3 elimination challenges, testing their culinary skill as they make their way through the store's aisles. And each challenge will feature a theme, such as only using frozen foods. And then there's this really cool rotating list of guest judges where they determine who's eliminated. And then the chef who makes it through all 3 rounds then has 2 minutes to go through the aisles collecting items on a shopping list. And each item on the list is worth $2,000. So if the chef gets every item, that's $20,000 grand prize that gets awarded. Listen. I don't go outside much. I watch a lot of I read comics and actual books and stream music, but I do watch a lot of movies. Not so much TV, which makes it a little bit more bearable, right? I watch a lot of streaming services because I have them all. So I have to put my streaming to get used. I know I probably didn't touch on a couple of the other ones, but I will. I have Tubi, Pluto TV, I have Mubi, I have a couple of other like Nebula, YouTube Premium. I don't know what you guys are interested in, so I just kind of did the main top streaming services. So if there's streaming services you want me to talk about, the gems that I found, I love Tubi. Shout out to Tubi, I really do. So if you love Tubi too, like, just let me know and I will totally get you together and let you know what's good and what's popping on Tubi or Pluto TV or any other streaming service. Like, literally, I have AMC Plus, I have MGM Plus, I have Epix, I have, you name it, I have it, because I hate leaving the house and being around people. A little bit of a shut-in vibe, I know, but whatevs. So please do send in comments and let me know what you like want to hear, what you want to hear me talk about, because I'm open and I'm down. Might as well put these subscriptions to get used and be able to write it off my taxes. So yeah, that's it. That's all for me for the month of January. Please send in your recommendations of shows and movies that I should be watching. It doesn't even have to be something you love. It can totally be something you hate. For those of you that don't know, I spent a year of my life watching bad superhero movies for content. So basically at this point, I can watch pretty much anything without flinching and actually probably find something to like about it. Let me drop these plugs and we can all make like Anya and sail away, sail away. You can follow the show on Twitter or, X, if that's what you're into calling it, at FSA. Feel free to shoot me an email at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Don't hesitate to leave a voicemail at 614-382-2727. That's 614-38-CAPES. And be sure to check out our website, twospace.io, /Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. Also, check the show notes in the link for our Patreon. And if you're feeling frisky, you can make it rain over on Cash App or buy our merch. Links are in the show notes and also on our website for those options. So until next time, I wish you fair winds and following seas. And if you know what that means, you're the bee's knees. Lilith Hellfire out.